Hello and welcome to Culture on I-24 News. I'm Oleg Grober, happy to be here as always. Today on our program, we'll hear about famous French Nazi hunters Serge and Beate Klarsfeld. We'll talk to rock and roll photographer Bob Gruen and see the work of artist Pini Siluk. Nazi hunting couple Serge and Beate Klarsfeld released a new autobiography titled Memories, which tells the story of their global search for Nazi war criminals. We asked their son Arnaud Klarsfeld to interview them on the occasion of the Holocaust Remembrance Day in Israel. David Gombin made this report.
They are probably the most famous Nazi hunters still alive. For more than 50 years, Serge and Beate Klarsfeld have relentlessly looked for Nazis in hiding places around the world. Today, they release Memories, a joint autobiography. Their son Arnaud, a famous human rights lawyer, interviewed his parents on our behalf.
When we read the autobiography, we feel like we're reading a spy book, a testimony, and also a love story.
It's true.
We can't call it a spy story. Our goal was more to uncover criminals. It's more a detective novel. A testimony, yeah. A testimony of a period of French and German history. And also a love story that is still ongoing.
Serge Klarsfeld, 80 years old, and Beate, 76 years old, have a very impressive record. From Klaus Barbie in 1987 to French collaborator Maurice Papon in 1998, they brought to court some of the worst Nazi criminals. But the Klarsfelds now have a wider view of Jews' migration throughout the last century.
I've read in Memories that before World War II, there were 9 million Jews in Europe. Now, there are only 2 million left. Do you think that the historical trend is that Jews are leaving Europe?
There are less than 2 million Jews in Europe. Jews leave Europe and will continue leaving if Europe keeps on becoming populist. If it can only be xenophobic in this case. And when it is populist and xenophobic, all the minorities become victims, almost all of them, and in particular the Jewish minority. And they are accused of being responsible for everything that goes bad.
Even while Serge Klarsfeld witnesses the Jews fleeing Europe, his family are staying in France, where they are very influential. However, they are fervent supporters of the State of Israel, a support mostly eluded by the media.
The commitment is reinforced in the book. Your actions towards Israel are evoked. Beate went to Syria to ask for the release of the Israeli prisoners after 1973's war and in Beirut. Well, all that dangerous stuff. But surprisingly, the French media acts as if it never happened. How do you explain that part of the left?
No, it's almost every journalist. They elude of the part regarding the defense of the Jews throughout the world.
And why don't they want to talk about this?
They don't want to talk about because it raises the issue of the friendship and the affection we have toward Israel. And they know that is the topic which splits the audience. Maybe it is just because of their antipathy toward Israel.
After more than 50 years of trying to achieve justice for all the Holocaust victims who are not alive to fight for themselves, they now tell all the behind-the-scenes anecdotes. As in every superhero story, there's a happy ending.
Well, it ends, hasn't ended yet. The book ends well, and there's one more last step.
It's true. We have a second autobiography to write if we live another 50 years.
Bob Bob Gruen is a photographer best known for capturing musicians on stage and off it. Since the 1960s, Gruen has taken iconic photographs of artists such as John Lennon, Bob Dylan, the Rolling Stones, the Sex Pistols, Tina Turner, and many, many more. He's published several books of his work, had a documentary made about him, and in May, an exhibition of his work titled Rockers Will Travel to Helsinki. Bob is now joining us via Skype from New York. Hello, Bob. Thanks for speaking to us today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So, fairly early in your career, you photographed giants such as Bob Dylan and John Lennon. Pop culture doesn't really create icons like that anymore. So the question is, do you have anyone left to photograph?
Well, there's always people I like. Actually, I met a new band called the Stripes, Strypes from Ireland. And they're really fun and exciting. And I still go around and see the band Green Day. They're fun and exciting. There's always new people out there. You know, those other people I photographed that weren't big when they started. You know, so you have to find people who are starting, and hopefully somebody will get big for the future.
Right. You turned 69 this year, and you're still out there at gigs photographing. What keeps you going? Is there something you feel you haven't achieved yet?
No, it's just fun. I like to have fun. You know, that doesn't stop when you get older. At least doesn't for me.
I sure hope not. What is it about photographing musicians, rock and rollers in particular, that fascinates you so much?
Well, there's a couple of things. One, I always like to see exciting things and tell people about them. That was a basic reason. And for me, rock and roll is all about the freedom to express yourself very loudly. And I like freedom, and I like you know, the freedom of expression, and I try to show that in my pictures.
Yeah, well, that certainly comes across. Tell me, how has your work changed over the years?
Well, I don't know if it's changed much. It's just gotten better. What I try to do is capture the passion and the feeling of what's going on, rather than just the facts. I like people to see my pictures and almost hear them, or you know, feel like they feel like they're there. They get more of a feeling of what's going on. So I try to capture that in the pictures.
Right. And who were your?
I've just gotten a little better at it over the years.
Who were your favorite artists to photograph?
Well, I have a lot of favorites, but certainly John Lennon was a lot of fun to be with and to photograph. The New York Dolls were outrageous. Debbie Harry is someone you can't take a bad picture of, and I think Tina Turner's pretty much the same way. The Clash and Joe Strummer were people I got along with and had a lot of fun with. Like I said before, nowadays I like hanging out with Green Day, and there's this young band, the Stripes, coming up. There's always people out there entertaining and fun.
Right. Is there anyone you wanted to photograph but didn't get to?
Actually, I would have liked to have met Otis Redding. That's a long time ago, but it was just a little before my time when I was just getting started.
I see. There's a lot of talk of the Disneyfication of popular culture in recent years. As someone who's there on the front lines and has been for a while, do you think there's truth to it?
Well, things change, you know, and I'm just glad I'm alive to see the changes. I never expected it to really stay the same. It is kind of surprising how conservative the world is getting and how homogenous, you know, that the corporations are taking over, and where you used to see local neighborhood stores are now just being taken over by chain stores. And that kind of thing is happening in music too, where people are just putting out polished pop music rather than experimenting and expressing themselves in new or interesting ways.
Right. Right. Bob, before we end, and just to make us a little envious, or probably a lot, what was the best concert you ever attended?
Well, I've attended a lot of really good ones, so, you know, it's hard to narrow it down. I don't really make lists like number one, because every time I saw Tina Turner was amazing. Every time I saw The Clash was amazing. I will say that standing next to John Lennon on the stage at Madison Square Garden, I was about 10 feet away when he was playing the piano and singing Imagine. That was really exciting. But then so is one of my favorite gigs was when the Who played at Shea Stadium, and my friend David Johansen opened, and then the Clash came on, and then the Who. It was my three favorite groups in one giant, massive stadium concert. I got to say that was a pretty good day.
I'm sure it was. Bob, again, thanks so much for taking the time and speaking to us today.
All right, thank you for having me.
In a moment, we'll hear about visual artist Pini Siluk, but first, here's our cultural recommendation for the day.
The Prado Museum offers a chance to see some of Roger van der Weyden's most important works all in one place, such as the Crucifixion, the Descent from the Cross, and Duran Madonna. The exhibition has been organized because the Great Crucifixion that is kept in El Escorial is being restored at the Prado. The display also highlights essential aspects of the Flemish artist, whose surviving works consist mainly of religious themes, altarpieces, and portraits. Although his life was generally uneventful, he was highly successful and internationally famous in his lifetime.
And now Mika Gurovic is already in the studio to talk photography.
Yeah, it's that time of the week.
How are you?
Very good, and you?
I'm doing great. We had Bob Gruen. What are you bringing us?
Do you remember when we were kids, we had these trading cards of the garbage pile kids? Like Nicky the Hickey, or Tony Boney, or Handy Randy.
See, I always thought these were illustrations. I didn't know these were photographs.
No, these are not photographs. These are the cards. So let me introduce you to the Garbage Pile Junkies, a nightlife-oriented photo series made by Moses Pini Siluk, a visual artist photographer, Israeli, 32 years old, based in New York. They draw his inspirations for this series from Philippe Helsman, Andy Warhol, and Jean-Paul Gaultier.
And the Garbage Pail Kids.
Of course.
Right there with the rest of them.
Yeah. Siluk is a very good photographer. He has done many campaigns for big companies such as Stoli Vodka and the Jose Cuervo tequila.
Yeah.
He has shot more than 250 portraits of models and comedians. He shot Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman 3 years ago, before she even got the part of Wonder Woman, for the next Batman vs. Superman blockbuster movie of the summer. Yeah, he has exhibited in Miami, Tel Aviv, Munich, Berlin, all over.
No, certainly knows his trade.
Yeah. He's done a lot of portraits of religious leaders and politicians. And when he got tired of these kind of photographies, he decided to go on and do soul portraits, where he took very late cultural heroes such as Van Gogh, Leonardo da Vinci, Frida Kahlo, Charlie Chaplin, and he wore these images on himself, exploring their image and what would happen if they would come to his studio and nowadays and would ask for a nowadays portrait, which are like, these images are, I think, really, really amazing.
So it's kind of a self-portrait of himself, actually, in the image of the late artist, great artist.
So the Dead Vinci, there's the Dead Vinci portrait.
Dead Vinci, all right.
Which will be shown in the Leonardo Plaza Hotel in Jerusalem as part of the Jerusalem Art Festival. We'll start at the 28th of April, and we'll be running for about a month. Cool. It's part of an exhibition where 70 different artists will be showing their work inspired by Leonardo da Vinci. And they're hoping that this exhibition will be running in hotels all over Europe.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Cool. That's a good opportunity to see that, and there's definitely a lot to be inspired by. What else do you have for us?
At April 24th, the Sony World Photography Awards exhibition will be opening, which will be showing the winning images of the professional, open, youth, and mobile phone competition.
And this last one, I think, is particularly interesting.
Yeah, the mobile phone competition has received more than 10,200 submissions, from which 20 images were chosen, and the winning images of Turi Calafato from Italy has received 6,718 online votes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it goes to show you that to take a good picture, it doesn't really I mean, of course it matters, the lens and the light, it all matters. But, you know, mostly it's to be there at the right moment, the right time, and press the button, you know?
Definitely.
That's a good picture.
Second place went to Janusz M. Schmidt from Hungary.
Wow.
Yeah. And third place went to Akos Salemi from Iran.
All right, very nice pictures. Mika, thanks as always.
Thank you.
That's it from us for today. I hope you enjoyed our show. We'll be back tomorrow with another one. So if you did, join us again. If you didn't, give us a chance to make up for it. We'll be here.